I had a routine where I would come in my room, turn off the light, sit on my bed, and cry myself to sleep. That was the routine. This one particular night, I came in as normal. I turned off the light. I sat on my bed and was preparing to cry myself to sleep as I always did. And I went to untie my sneakers, but I saw that there was still light.
Okay.
And
Wow.
and I said, that's strange. I know I turned out the light. And then when I looked up, this is the crazy part. When I looked up, it was as if the sun that you see in the sky was in my room,
Wow.
right in front of me. And this sun had this love that was incredible. It was like, only thing I can describe is like if you go to the beach with dry clothes on and you stand there and a big wave covers your whole body.
Hmm.
Imagine that wave is love.
Wow.
I mean,
Great.
it covered me from head to toe, and it was so much love. I can barely describe it here.
Yeah.
Then out of this big light came two smaller lights like stars, and one was bigger and one was a little bit smaller. And I recognized that the smaller star coming out of this huge sun,
Hmm.
which was God, was my mother.
This is Dale Cross, and welcome to another edition of Soul Inspire. This is the podcast this is the audio video podcast that features spiritually awakened souls on their soul journey to inspire you on your own soul journey. And on this edition, I'm really excited because we have a wonderful guest with us. His name is Dennis Bullock, and Dennis Bullock has had two very profound spiritual experiences, one of which is an actual near-death experience where he actually died and saw his soul. The other experience is really, really intriguing as well because he didn't die, he was still alive, but he had all the elements of what you may call a near-death experience, where he was actually visited in his room by his own deceased mother and a guide, and they actually gave him some advice about the future. So interesting. Dennis, welcome to the show.
Hi, Dale. Thank you for having me at your show. It's a real pleasure.
Oh, the pleasure is all mine. Thank you so much. I think our audience is going to get so much inspiration out of this. So why don't you go ahead and start and talk a little bit about your spiritual background? First of all, like where you came from, what kind of spirituality, were you a religious person before this experience? Tell us a little bit about your spiritual background first, and then you can go right into the two profound experiences.
Okay, well, I was raised a Christian. My mother raised me as a Christian. I mean, I was a Christian up until this experience, my first deaf experience. I was also a musician. I was a singer and saxophone player in America, and I also performed and lived also in Montreal, Canada, for about maybe 10, 15 years. And yeah, I was pretty much an ordinary artist, as you want to say. And this experience actually happened in Montreal, Canada.
Okay.
Okay, so this is it's real kind of an honor to do this interview in Canada,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
being
I'm
being
coming.
being from America.
There you
But
go.
the funny thing is, both of my experience happened in Canada,
Nice.
and well, the first one, my mother and I were. It was about my mother. Um, in this first near-death experience, my physical body didn't die. I didn't die,
Okay. Okay.
but I had all the elements of this experience as if I did.
Hmm.
The story starts with me and my mother. We were very, very close. She was a very positive woman. She she didn't even have a job, but she bought me my first saxophone, you know,
Wow. Wow.
and she saved and bought me my first saxophone. So when she got sick and she died, I was 29 years old.
Mhm.
And I was not ready for that. She was my world, you know. She was the joy or the light in the world for me.
Yeah.
And when she passed away, it's like my life just passed away at 29. I was not ready to lose my mother at 29 years
Of
old.
course.
So about a week and a half after she passed away, I had an apartment in Montreal, Canada, and I started to drink every night. And I had a routine where I would drink, come back to my room, my apartment, sit on my bed, and cry myself to sleep.
Right.
That was my routine. And I did that about a good week and a half until this one night. I had a routine where I would come in my room, turn off the light, sit on my bed, and cry myself to sleep. That was the routine. This one particular night, I came in as normal. I turned off the light. I sat on my bed and was preparing to cry myself to sleep as I always did. And I went to untie my sneakers, but I saw that there was still light.
Okay.
And
Wow.
and I said, that's strange. I know I turned out the light. And then when I looked up, this is the crazy part. When I looked up, it was as if the sun that you see in the sky was in my room,
Wow.
right in front of me. And this sun had this love that was incredible. It was like, only thing I can describe is like if you go to the beach with dry clothes on and you stand there and a big wave covers your whole body.
Mhm.
Imagine that wave is love.
Wow.
I mean,
Great.
it covered me from head to toe,
Mm.
and it was so much love. I can barely describe it here.
Yeah.
Then out of this big light came two smaller lights like stars, and one was bigger and one was a little bit smaller. And I recognized that the smaller star coming out of this huge sun,
Mhm.
which was God, was my mother.
Wow.
And when she came out, the first thing I said to her, I said, "Wow, it's like that over there, Mom." That's the first thing I said.
Yeah.
And she kind of, with this other light, she kind of just floated out towards me, uh, and she began to talk to me. And how she talked to me was like we're talking now, except it felt like she would shoot the conversation into me, and I could feel the conversation, not only hear it, but to feel it.
Is
I
that
could
like
feel the,
sorry to interrupt you. Is that like telepathic or
yes, oh, definitely
okay.
telepathic.
So you could
Because
hear it or you could feel it?
I could hear it and feel it.
Okay. Okay.
It was like a kind of communication that you could never mistake what somebody was saying to you. You just could never do that because it was not only hearing, but feeling whatever she was saying. So, and she told me, the first thing she said was, I'm going to tell you 1 week in the future.
Amazing.
And she said, I'm going to tell you this so you know that this situation happened. So you know that this is real. This is not an illusion. This is real. She said, a week from now, you're going to have a music job. And she said, at this music job, there's going to be a bouncer, like a doorman. And she said, he's going to be a homosexual and he's going to be a psychopath. And she told me, she said, whatever you do, he's going to, no, she said, he's going to make a pass at you. And she told me, whatever you do, don't get into an argument or a fight with him. Just tell him you're not like that and walk away. because she said he's a psychopath. And then she said to me, if you do get into a fight or an argument, there's two probabilities or timelines that could happen. The first timeline would be that he kills you. And the second timeline would be that you kill him, but you go to jail for life.
Wow.
And my mother knew me, and she told me that because she knew, I mean, I call it the roaring 20s. I was in my 20s, I was vigor. And it's nothing against anybody who is homosexual or gay or lesbian.
Of course.
But in those times, if somebody made a pass at me knowing that I'm not gay, I was ready really to defend myself, defend my manhood.
Right.
And I was the type of young guy, I was not looking for trouble, but it was like a Western, I call it. I'm not looking for trouble, but if trouble comes my way, I can handle it.
Gotcha.
So she told me that for a reason, because she knew how I was. Yeah. And I was, this young kid vigor, but not looking for trouble, but ready. So she told me that. And she also said, the girlfriend that you have right now, she says, she has 3 kids that you don't know about. And she says she's going to try to have a 4th one with you. And she said she's going to try to trick you. Like she might say she's on this pill or whatever, and she won't be. And she told me, she said, I tell you these things so you'll know, you'll have the proof that this actually happened, this whole situation. And I said, okay, Mom, I'm listening to you. And then my attention went to this other light, because I said to myself, I said, hey, I have God in my room, man.
Yeah.
I said, I'm going to ask some questions. I want to know, who I'm going to marry, how many kids I'm going to have, why am I here? So I want to know. And so I went, my attention went to this other light that was just standing next to my mom the whole time. And I said, Mom, who is this light? What is this light? And the light answered me and talked to me and said, I'm an escort.
Okay.
And what I got was that the love between me and my mother was so strong that it was able to punch a hole into this reality somehow. And so that she could say whatever she needed to say to me, to take me off the path that I was on.
Yeah.
And when it started to talk to me, for some strange reason, I got a sense of what my mother, and I call it an angel, because there was so much love coming from it.
Yeah.
What their relationship was between the angel and my mother.
Okay.
And what I sensed and got from them was that my mother was saying to the angel, you got to get me over there. My boy's in trouble. You got to get me over there. My boy's in trouble. And the angel said, because it's love, I'll get you there. No problem. I'll get you there.
Wow.
And what I understood was that, I think it's been maybe 2 weeks since my mom had passed, and my mom still was in an adjustment period over there. So she still didn't know how things quite work to get back and forth from dimensions. Okay. So I mean, so I asked this angel all these questions. I said, because hey, I mean, it's Star Wars in my room.
Yeah.
I got to ask some questions here. So especially when the angel told me this isn't an interruption in my life, I said, okay, well, I got some questions here. And so I asked the questions, who am I going to marry? How many kids and why am I here? And the angel calmly, in a very neutral voice, said, I will answer all your questions, but you will not be allowed to remember.
Interesting.
So I was only allowed to remember what my mother said for 1 week.
Is that to preserve your free will, do you think? Because then you don't have free will if you know everything.
Yes, because I think if I knew everything, what was going to happen, then there would be no more free will.
Yeah. Yeah,
you see.
makes sense.
So she only let me know a week in advance, I guess, to show me and give me the evidence.
Mhm.
So then they started, after the angel told me, but I still don't remember what what all the answers were.
Mm.
Just I only remember my mother said for the week, they started to pull away. And when they started to pull away, it was like somebody was turning the heat down in the room.
Hmm.
And it was like, the best way to describe it's like an ice cube slowly melting in a glass. And as they pulled away, tears burst out of my eyes.
Yeah.
And I said, nobody's ever going to believe this happened. Nobody's going to believe this. Nobody. It's too incredible. I said, nobody's ever going to believe this. But I have the proof. Now, a week later, I got a phone call. I was with a band in Montreal, and we got a job, just like my mother said. Now, we hadn't been working for about 2 or 3 weeks. There was no jobs. I got a job the next week, just like my mother said. And so the band member told me, hey, we have a job. I said, okay, great, I'll be there. But I didn't tell my band what I experienced because I didn't want them to think, oh, you know, he's a great singer, he's a great saxophone player, but since his mom died, he totally lost it. You know, so I didn't tell him my experience. I just said, okay, I'll be there. So I went to the club, this new club, and when I got there, there was these 2 huge bouncers. And I didn't think nothing of it at the time. It was daytime. We were doing what we call a sound check. Sound check is when you check the sound to make sure everything is okay, maybe 3 or 4 hours before the actual show starts. So we did the sound check. Nothing happened at that time. And then we came back that night and we started the show. Now, I saw the 2 bouncers there at night, but nothing happened. They were okay. We did our first set, and that went really great. And then we took a break. And on our break, I was talking to the band members. It was me and the band members. Let's say these are the band members, this hand, and this is me, and I'm talking. And this one bouncer walks by me and grabs my butt. And I turn around like that. And I asked my band members who were on the other side of me, did you see that? And they said, no, we just saw a guy pass you. I
Mm.
said, this guy just grabbed my butt, man. I got to tell this guy something, man. You know, I'm
Hmm.
not like that, you know. So
Mm.
uh, at first I was a little bit angry. And then I went over there, but then I remembered what my mother said. I said, remember what your mom said, don't get to an argument or a fight with this guy. You know what could happen.
Mhm.
So I said, I went over there and I said, hey man, I'm not like that. Please don't touch me, you know.
Mhm.
And the guy was in a corner like this. You had too many beers, man. And I said, and then I said it again. I said, listen, man, I know what you did. Please don't touch me. I'm
Yeah.
not like that.
Yeah.
And then he said, why'd you tell your friends? Like that. And I said, I told my friends because that's what you did, man. And I said, please don't touch me again. Thank you. And I walked away from him because I knew at that point, if I stayed, it was getting ready to go into that avenue of there's going to be an argument. And my mother said, no arguments or no fighting. Or one of those 2 timelines would happen. So,
Mhm.
so I walked away from him and we did our second set and I left and nothing happened. I went home to my apartment. And then the next day, a band member called me and said, hey, man, did you hear what happened? And I said, no, what happened? Remember that bouncer you were telling us about that grabbed you? He got into an argument with the club owner and crushed both of his ribs
Oh,
and went to jail for manslaughter.
wow. My
And
gosh.
when he told me that, I said, oh, I didn't tell my band members nothing still about my experiences. I just said, oh, wow, that's crazy. That's crazy. All right, I see you later. And that's how the conversation went. And then I said to myself, bills start ringing out. I said, oh my God, everything my mother said is coming true. Everything.
Yeah.
And then I said, if that's true, this is coming true. Then my girlfriend, what she said about her.
Mm.
So I said, I'm going to call my girlfriend. I got to call her. This is getting too wild. I got to call her.
Yeah.
So I called her. She said, hello. And I said, hello. Tell me something. Do you have 3 kids? And the phone went silent. And then she said, who told you? And I said, wait a minute. Do you have 3 kids? Tell me the truth. Do you have 3 kids? And she said, yes. Who told you? Now, I've been seeing this girl for about 1.5 years. No sign of any kids.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, she lied to me. And so she said, who told you? And I said, you're not going to believe who told me, but I'm going to tell you. My dead mother told me.
Wow.
And then I told her, I said, we're finished, because if you deny your own kids, I said, I might have been okay with you having 3 kids, but the fact that you denied it for 1.5 years, I said, what else you might be denying? So we broke up and we were finished.
Yeah.
And that was the proof. And that was the first NDE experience. Okay. And that NDE experience, that first one, kind of cured me.
So it's similar to an NDE, right? Or
yes.
You didn't die.
For me, I didn't die physically, but I mean, I had God in my room. That's number one. I had angels in my room. I had so much love that it was incredible. It was like Star Wars in my room. And for me, it was almost the same as if you had died.
Gotcha.
Now, the second NDE experience, I mean, I was cured once this first NDE experience happened. I was no longer depressed. I knew my mother was even better than she was in this life. Mm-hmm. She was powerful. She knew the future. She knew the past. She knew the present. She was powerful. I knew she was well taken care of, we're very happy. And so I wasn't worried about her anymore. So I stopped drinking. That was out. So I that was finished. Then 5 years later, I was I'm a singer, and I was singing, and I had this mentor, a person that I really looked up to. I'm not going to say the name because I want to protect their family.
Yeah.
But he was a great singer, and he used to be one of the lead singers for the Platters. And I mean, he had everything. He had record deals, good looks, great personality, one awesome singer, deals internationally, Germany, here, everywhere, a lot of success. And he introduced me to drugs. So we started to do drugs because he was older than me, maybe about 7 years or something like that, 8 years older than me. And I looked up to him, and I thought, at 29, I thought that's the way to go. Mm-hmm. I said, he's successful. I could learn a lot from this guy. So I was following his footsteps until I did his last show. When I did his last show, he died. He died the next day. Oh. And I mean, we had done a lot of things together. We got the best live act in Montreal, Canada, the best live act in any club. Mm-hmm. This was in around 1988 and 89, something like that. And and so when he died, that was it for me. I went cold turkey. I stopped all drugs and everything, because I said, if I continue to follow this guy, I'm going to end up exactly like him. Okay. I'm going to die. So I did the last concert of his life. And he could barely sing because he had done so much drugs. And I was singing his notes for him. I was the background vocals. He was the lead, but I was singing his notes for him on the lead vocal because he couldn't put enough air to finish the note.
Oh.
So yeah, so when he died, that was it for me. And I went cold turkey, and it was no drugs. And then to replace that, I decided to replace it with marijuana.
Oh, okay.
So I started to smoke a joint every now and then. And me and my girlfriend at the time, my new girlfriend, we had ran out of marijuana this particular day. And I said, well, I don't have any. And she said, I don't know. I don't have any anymore either. So I said, well, let me call a friend. So I called a friend, and he said, well, I can get some marijuana and I'll bake it in a cake and I'll bring it to you. And I said, oh, yeah, that's cool. I said to my girlfriend, I said, we never had it in a cake. I said, I wonder what that would be like. And she said, yeah, let's try that. So I said, okay. And so the guy baked the cake and he poured tons and tons of marijuana in the cake. And he brought it to my apartment and he left it with me and my girlfriend. And he left. And it was a chocolate cake, by the way. And I took a slice and I gave a slice to my girlfriend. And I said, well, let's try this. You know, I never had marijuana in cake. I wonder how that's going to be. So she ate a piece and I ate a piece. And we waited 20 minutes and nothing happened. And we said, oh, nothing happened. I hope it's a good batch, a batch. I said, well, she said, maybe we should eat the whole cake. And I said, yeah, maybe that's right. Maybe we didn't eat enough.
Oh, boy.
So I cut the cake in half, and she took one half of the cake, and I took the other half of the cake.
Wow.
And we ate the whole cake. And we waited 20 minutes again. Nothing happened. And then we said, maybe it's a bad batch. You feel anything? No, I don't feel nothing. Then another 10 minutes came. Then things started to happen. But it wasn't getting us high. What it was doing was shutting down our organs.
Oh my gosh.
I was talking with her, and then I would forget to breathe. I forgot to breathe.
Oh.
And she started doing the same thing. And then it started being difficult for me to move. I couldn't move my body. And she told me, she said, you better call 911 while we still can. Mm-hmm. And I said, yes, that's a good idea. And so I picked up the phone and I dialed 911, and I was embarrassed to call these emergency people. And they said, how can I help you? And I was so embarrassed. I said, well, me and my girlfriend, we had a cake, and we may have eaten too much marijuana, and we feel like we're dying. Can you come help, and can you save us? Can you come help us? And then I hung up the phone, and I was, I was embarrassed to tell them, but I told them. And my heart was trying to beat because my body was actually shutting down. I was not getting high. It was each organ was shutting down. My movement was difficult. My breathing started to be difficult. Everything. Mm-hmm. I call it my reflexes were all starting to shut down. You have a certain reflex that tells you that you have to breathe, and that was shutting down. So I was forgetting to breathe, and my brain had to concentrate to force myself to breathe, and it was a mess. So I was holding on to dear life because I knew that if they don't come soon, that I wasn't going to live. I wouldn't be alive. They came finally, and when one took I think it's my pulse now, because I wasn't sure. I think I had got it wrong. Another interview about my blood pressure, but it was my pulse. That was 130.
Okay.
It was 130, which is a deadly number for pulse. And so my girlfriend's was a little bit lower. She had more of a chance. And of course, leaving, this all happened at 4:00 in the morning, by the way.
Wow.
So we were on the 3rd floor, and I had neighbors on the 2nd and the 1st floor. and it looked crazy to them. They were looking at, there was flashing lights everywhere, and we were each was in a stretcher, and we had these rolling stairs, so we had to roll down the stairs past in front of their window, and they were looking out the window like, what happened to them? you know, and so it looked quite crazy. It looked like, I don't know, Mick Jagger overdosed, and there was all these flashing lights and people, and the police came also, because when in Montreal, if you call emergency ambulance, if there's any kind of drugs involved, they have to dispatch the police also. So the police came with the ambulance, looking to charge us with something, but there was nothing left. There was no cake left. There was no evidence left. We ate it all.
Okay.
So they left. They just left, and then the ambulance took us, and so they took us to the hospital. And strangest thing happened when I arrived in the stretcher in the hospital past reception. I saw my dead mother again.
Whoa.
And my dead mother, this time, she was looking in the reception through papers, looking for me. And she had this outfit that she has when she used to belong to a club of women, like 10 women, and they used to have bingo parties, and they used to go on trips together. It was like a little women's club. And she had this outfit on that she would have at that club. And I saw that as they were rolling me in the stretcher by the reception. And I said, that's weird, there's Mom. And I could see her as clearly as day. And then they put me in a room, and they put my girlfriend in another hospital room. And they gave me this black drink to drink. I thought it was tar, but I later found out that it was activated charcoal.
Oh, okay.
And what that does is take any toxins or chemicals or drugs or anything in your body, it absorbs it and takes it out. And it tastes horrible, by the way. So I drank that, and I was in my bed in my hospital room by myself. My girlfriend was in another room, and they left me in my hospital room for about 2 hours, because they figured, you drink your activated charcoal and you're going to be fine. It's very fast. It absorbs very fast. So I was in my bed, and I drank this stuff really fast because I wanted to be okay, because I thought I was a goner. And after I drank it, I relaxed back in my bed. And as I was relaxing in my bed, all of a sudden, my heart started to beat, like right in my ear almost. It felt like it was beating, boop, boom, boop, boom, boop, boom, boop, boom, boom. And when it did the last beat, that was it. I popped out of my body, almost as if you jump off the sofa. Pop, I was out.
Wow.
And the first thing I said then was, I'm out. I'm out, and I was standing by my bed, and my body was in my bed. And I said, I'm out. Then I looked at my hand. And when I looked at my hand, the best way to describe it is what I saw was like, if you ever watch television very late, and the emergency broadcasting system comes on the TV, it kind of just goes to static, like shh on the television when there's no more programs. But if you look in that static, you're going to see colors. There's colors in that little static, and that's kind of what my hand looked like, except it had like a light blue, grayish tint around it. And I was looking at my hand, and I was like, wow, and dying or being out of my body was so easy. It was like, if you go and yawn, you're out. If you drink a glass of water, you're out. It was like that. There was, I couldn't, it was incredible. It was like, and I felt pretty much like I did in my body. It was like the transition was very, very, very subtle. Is a better way I can describe it. And then one thing I noticed was my personality was that my soul personality was quite curious, more than like at 100%. My curiosity was very curious. And there was a sink in the hospital room, and there was a drip of water dropping, boop, boop, from the sink, boop, boop. And for some odd reason, in my soul's eyes, that was the most fascinating, beautiful thing I've ever saw. And the minute I saw that, I said, wow, a drop of water. And my vision just went whoop, very close, and then very far from the drop of water. Hmm. And I said, and this next part is quite something too. The best way to describe it, if you haven't ridden a bike for 20 years, and I give you a bicycle after 20 years, you're still going to know how to ride it. Well, that's how it felt over there. I said, because the drip of water was dripping like that, and I said, I'm going to stop time. I think I remember how to do it. And I just put my hand across the air like that, and the drip of water froze in midair.
Wow.
And I stopped time. And then the next thing I said, okay. And for some odd reason, that part didn't amaze me that much. It just was like, oh yeah, I remember how to do it. Oh yeah. Then I said, I want to see this drop of water from every angle. And I opened my hand like that, and then 5 of me appeared, 5 of me. One was on the left, one was on the right, one was underneath the water looking at it, one was looking at it in front, and one was looking at all the others looking at it. And I was looking at all 5 of me looking at the water. And when I would close my hand, all of them would go suck back into me. And that kind of fascinated me. Yeah. And I said, wow, I mean, all these 5 of me, same face, a white silhouette of a body. And then I just went back out again, and they all appeared at the same place again. And then I went, and I kept doing it, and I kept doing it. And then I said, this is fun. And I could do it. And then I said, I'm going to do it with a little shake. And I went, and they all appeared with a little shake. And then it was like Bugs Bunny. I kept doing it fast, slow, in front of the water, fast, slow. And then until I burst out laughing. I just burst out laughing. And this was an amazing point. When I burst out laughing on the other side, it sounded like you were in a Grand Canyon. It went, ha, 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 ha. It laughed into eternity. And after that laugh, after I burst out laughing, because this was just turning into Bugs Bunny, I could do anything I want. I felt somebody was watching me. After I laughed, somebody was watching me from behind. And I felt somebody was watching me. And then very gently, a thought or a voice came to me. And it said, like a parent would with a child in a playground. Like a parent would say, don't run around the corner too fast, you might fall. Mm-hmm. It said like this to me, it said, don't stay out here too long, or you might have to stay. Mm. And then I knew it wasn't that was not what I was thinking or thought. I knew it was coming from God. And I said, oh yeah, you're right. And the other thing, while I was out of my body, the other thing that was happening, best way to describe this was like, if you drop a Alka-Seltzer pill in the water and it starts to dissolve, right? Yeah. Well, while I was out of my body, it was the opposite happened. The longer I stayed out of my body, the more information that was swelling swelling. You know, 1 minute I could stop time. Next minute I found that I could divide myself. The next minute it was more information. And then after this voice told me that, like a parent would, you know, if you stay out here too long, you might have to stay.
Mhm.
Then I pointed myself in the direction of my bed. I pointed my soul, because one thing I want to say is that I never wanted to look at my dead body. I knew it was, you know, over there somewhere, but I was afraid that if I looked at it, I was going to see some some horrible, you know, expression on my face, and that would kind of scare me. So I never wanted to look at it. I just pointed my soul in that direction, and I just thought to go in the body, and it just went into the body, and my heart started to beat, and that was it.
Ah.
But this time I was able to bring back information,
Mm.
incredible information.
Mm-hmm.
And also I kind of brought back a gift of some sorts. I found out that I could read people's energy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, after that, and that was my second experience of NDE, where I died. But after that second NDE, my band had a gig in Mont Roland. You know, I think you know where that is.
I think
Mont
so.
Roland, yeah, Mont Roland, and it was a snowstorm, and there was hardly nobody in the club, just the band and maybe 2 customers and waitresses. So we all were sitting around, and I was we all having a beer and sitting around. And I called one of the waitresses over. I said, "Come on over. I'm going to tell you your future for fun." I said, "Give me your left hand." So she gave me her left hand, and I said, "Your boyfriend is paraplegic." I said, "He blames you for his being paraplegic." I said, "You're going to leave him in 3 months. You're going to meet a guy, and you're going to fall in love, and you're going to marry this guy, and you're going to be happy." And I just let her hand go. And she never said, I never noticed, she never said a word through the whole thing. And I just finished my beer, and she left.
Mm-hmm.
And the next year, because this was the first time we played this club in Mont Roland, the next year we came to this club, and she ran up to me and she said, "Did you know that everything you said was true?" And I said, "No way." I said, "Get out of here. No way. I was joking with you. No way." I said, "Your boyfriend was paraplegic?" She said, "Yes." I said, "He blames you for his handicap?" She said, "Yes." I said, "You met a guy 3 months after?" She said, "Yes." "You fell in love and you got married?" And she showed me the wedding ring.
Oh my gosh.
And when
Wow.
she said that, the hairs on my arm went up to my neck. And I got a little bit afraid. I said, "Oh my God, what am I now? Am I a Martian? What's going on here?" And then I discovered that there's something going on here. I couldn't have got all those things right. It's impossible. You can't guess those things. It's impossible. And then it happened again, but this time the story was a little bit tragic. I had another friend who also was a doorman, but he was a cool guy, straight guy, and he was a normal guy. He loved the band, and we were all friends. And I had a premonition on a Thursday that he shouldn't go out for the weekend. Just don't go out, stay home.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a doorman, and he used to work at what we call the after hours. And after hours, in case any of your public doesn't know, is a place that stays open after the clubs close. Like if the clubs close at 2, this place stays open until like 3 to 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. Mm. And you can still have a beer and stuff like that. And so he works there. He was the doorman at that place, and huge guy, another huge guy. And I saw him that Friday. And I wanted to tell him, but I said, what is he going to think if I tell him this? I mean, he's a big guy. I mean, who's going to mess with him? They got to
Mm.
be crazy if they mess with him. I said, this guy's huge. No way you're going to even think about messing with this guy. And I said, what's he going to think? He's going to, and I thought about myself. I said, maybe you're just having these strange feelings and, you're feeling weird, or maybe this is just a feeling in your head, you're imagining, you know. So I didn't tell him. And that Sunday, I went to another place, another after hours, and the doorman there was crying. This is another doorman. He was crying at the door. And I said, hey, man, what happened? And he said, you didn't hear? And I said, no, what happened? And he said, a friend of mine who's a doorman, and he mentioned my friend's name, the guy that I had the premonition about. He said, he's dead.
Oh my God.
And I said, what happened? How did he die? He said, the guy met a girl in this after hour place. After his work, they went to a hotel. She waited till he fell asleep and she cut his throat with a knife.
Oh my God.
And he tried to stop her, but he was sleeping and he had lost too much blood. And he died. And I ended up going to his funeral. And I said, from that day forth, I said, if I get a premonition about the president of the United States, I'm going to tell him. I'm never going to withhold information.
Right.
Never,
Right,
never
right.
again.
Wow.
Never again. And then I started to help people with this gift. I did I was doing started to do readings for health and for life readings and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I started to help people with it. And at this one party, this man came and he sat down and he asked me for a health reading. And he said, so I took his left hand. He said, tell me what's wrong with my body. And I took his left hand and I was feeling his energy. And when I got to his left leg, I felt something peculiar, that his left leg is not real.
Oh, okay. Like a prosthetic?
I told him, I said, your left leg is not real. And he said, you're real, because that's exactly right. I have a prosthetic leg, but you wouldn't know it from my walking or where I sit or how it looks, because it looks exactly like a normal leg. And he said, you're real. And then I went on to tell him that he had some nerve problems and stuff like that. But that was a good story. And that's what I've been doing. I read energy. Sometimes I get premonitions, but most of the time I just read the energy. And it's not information that I know, it's your energy that tells me this information. I'm able to read it somehow.
So it's kind of like you're reading the vibrational escrow in the present moment of that person. And then there's these potential timelines if they make certain choices. So would you say it's more probability?
Well, yes, but the premonitions
happen
can be quite powerful. Premonitions usually, I mean, they last, it's usually a 3-day period if I get a premonition, and within that 3 days it's going to happen or not. But I have the choice, if I tell the person, then they have the choice to change that premonition. But if I don't tell them,
okay,
it's kind of like I'm watching the timeline they're on right now, and where it's going to go.
I like the fact that you said they have some choice. So it's like so would you say that the future is set to a degree, but then we also have free will? If we know what's about to unfold, we can do certain choices to avoid that danger.
Yes, because I had a client who asked me, what's more real, destiny or free will? And the answer was both, because before you're born, you choose your mother, you choose your father, you choose your children. If you're going to have one, you choose your best friend, you choose your girlfriend, you choose your wife, you even choose your dog. You choose a lot of things.
Mhm.
Your best friend, yeah. And you still have the choice to disown them or not be with them.
Mhm.
But that's the choice, that you're going to meet those people no matter what.
Right.
That part is kind of like a destiny.
Okay.
But then there's the other part, which is free will. And the free will part is that you can disown your parents. Your best friend, you can get in an argument and say, I don't want to be him to be my best friend. And you could choose
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
he's not your best friend.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the free will. So it's both destiny and free will. So you kind of choose certain points in your life. You're going to meet some certain people, no matter what you do. I don't care if you spend all your life on a mountaintop. Believe me, there's going to be a person that's going to discover you there
Right.
that you were supposed to meet.
Gotcha. Because it's written. Yeah, it's meant to happen. Okay.
Well, we have what we call soul agreements with other souls. Yeah, and so so I do energy reading. That's what I do to help people um
Yep.
with life, basically, and also for them to discover who they are and uh how powerful they are. um the other thing is I got downloads from the second NDE. I mean, a lot of
Mhm.
information, and that information is quite surprising.
Have you put that in a book? You should put that in a book. Some of
Well,
that.
that's I would like to work on that one time.
At one
Maybe
time.
you can help me with that.
I would love. Well, actually, I do. I am a writer, so yeah, we should collect. We
Okay,
should talk about that. But yeah,
maybe we
wow,
should talk about that. But
interesting.
what the download that I got was, first thing, this is gonna be, it's quite surprising.
Okay.
But that's what I got on a soul level from the other side, was that there is no wrong or right.
Mm-hmm. That's phenomenal. That's a phenomenal
There,
thing.
there's only perception and experience. I can give you an example. Let's say somebody we consider not such a nice person, I don't know, a bank robber or
Yeah,
or a killer.
killer.
Um, in the eyes of God, they're just on what I would call the long way home. Let's say you have two roads going to a mountain, and the mountain is God.
Yeah.
Now, the person who is on the lower vibration is taking what I would call the long way home. The person on the shorter highway is taking, on a higher vibration, is taking the shorter way home. In God's eyes, the murderer is just taking the long way home. That's it. And the person who's a good person and good heart is taking the shorter way home. That's all. That's it. Everything is perception over there, and love, and also experience. This, we come here for the experience, and I hate to say it, and a lot of people freak out about that. It even freaked me out a little bit when I got this information, but
Uh-huh.
life is not so serious.
Don't take it so
It's,
serious.
yes, because on the other side, it's kind of like this. You have what they call soul group, and they're like your friends. And this soul group, you've reincarnated together. It could be maybe 7 of you or 20 of you. You've all reincarnated together in different places, galaxies, planets, everywhere. And you're in this soul group and you say, hey, have you heard of that new game called Earth? And they say, yeah. And you say, well, I'm going to go and play. They're going to say, what? You're going to play that game? Say, yeah, but I'm going to play, but I'm not going to forget that I'm a god. And you go and you play and you come back and you say, wow, man, that game called Earth was amazing, man. But the only thing is I forgot that I'm a god. And then your other soul your soulmate says, well, I'm going to play, but this time I'm not going to forget that I'm a god. And they go and they play and they come back and they say, it was great, man, but I forgot that I'm a god. And that's the other thing I got on the other side, that we are gods. I mean, with a big G.
With a big G. Interesting.
Yeah, we can create a whole galaxy with half a thought.
Wow.
What I got is that the energy that you're putting right now into this life is like a fingernail of your soul that you're using.
Wow.
A fingernail. And you know, when I died and my heart stopped and I was on the other side, it was just more and more information and more power. Okay. One minute I could step time, next minute I could divide myself with no problem, and more information. And this information was incredible. Like, for example, I got information that there were many Jesuses.
Okay.
Not just one. Also that information about the Bible, that a lot of the Old Testament is not accurate, and also some of the New Testament is not accurate because it was manipulated by governments and religious churches. Mm-hmm. Because what Jesus really, one of the Jesus who came into the earth was, he brought the consciousness from the other side to the physical. Mm-hmm. And he was able to do that. And that was the only way he was able to do miracles, because he had consciousness of the other side in the physical body. And he was not teaching judgment. He was not teaching separation. He was not teaching that he was the only one. This is all what the government and the King James and all these other people put into the Bible, but it was not what he was about or even wrote or spoke. I got that, yeah, on the other side, there's no right or wrong. And also there's no better or better.
So no need to compare ourselves. We're unique, one of a kind.
So the thing is that, you know, I mean, Jesus tried to tell us that, but a lot of people ignored that passage in the Bible when he says, I do these miracles, but you could even do greater. He was trying to tell you, you're just like me, but even better. We're all the same. Mm-hmm. He also said, I'm the Son of God, but so are you.
Yeah.
He was not saying, it's like it's me, I'm the Son, and then there's you.
Right.
It was not saying that.
So he's like a way shower. He's like a way shower, as opposed to being like a savior. Like, oh, you have to follow me. I'm showing you the way to be like me, because you are me. You are like me. We're one.
Yes, you got it. You got it perfectly. Okay. That's exactly it.
That resonates.
And yeah, that's exactly it. You got it. You just said it. And that was the download. Yeah, you know, I tell people, I say, you know, I mean, the only difference between you or me and Jesus is that Jesus has a different name.
That's right.
That's it. And he came in with he brought the consciousness of the other side to the physical. That's the only difference. But other than that, on the other side, he's just another son, just like you are.
So he brought the Christ consciousness.
Now, I want to say something about that, because I got a download about that.
Okay.
The Christ, there is a Christ consciousness, by the way.
Okay.
And it's just underneath unconditional love.
Oh, interesting.
Yes, this consciousness is very high vibration, and it's just under unconditional love. That's what I got. I also got, I also got why people die and they go to hell and they come back.
Yeah, what's that all about? Fill us in.
Okay, well, I got to.
The Soul Inspire podcast is brought to you by DaleCross.net. Discover the freedom, bliss, and ecstasy within you. At DaleCross.net, I can help connect you with your soul's purpose, passion, and mission. Your soul signed up for something great. Discover what it is with the tools I offer. Book a free one-on-one consultation now at dalecross.net and live your greatness.
I'll tell you, first thing, I was a Christian. Okay. I was raised a Christian. So when you die and you go to hell, you're not supposed to come out. Okay. You're supposed, in the Christian religion, you're in hell, you're there forever. You're never supposed to come out. Why do these people come out? Now I'm going to tell you. The download was that whatever you fear in this life, your soul is so powerful, it's creating on the other side. So what happens with the souls? They go to this hell and they realize, hey, it's not God who created this hell. It's me who created it. I'm the one that's created this hell. And then they leave.
Oh, that's beautiful that they leave. I like
and here's the other thing. It's also the same for heaven. Sorry. The heaven, they go to heaven and they find out there's nobody there, because when they were alive, they believed that not many people go to heaven. So they go to heaven, they might see an angel or Mary or even Jesus, and that's it, in this big white gate, pearly gate, and that's it. And they realize that, hey, it's me who created this idea of heaven. And what I want to say is that on the other side, anywhere you are is heaven, because it's all God's light and creation and love. Anywhere you are,
it's all one.
Anywhere you are, it's God's creation is heaven. Anywhere. So it's not a particular place, unless you created it already.
So it's more like a state.
Yes.
A place.
Yes, it's a state, and anywhere you are in the other side is heaven. So it's not like a particular, well, if you go to heaven, you have to go down that road and down. No, wherever, the minute you're out, that can be heaven for you.
Right.
So that's the other thing. So that's why when I tell Christians, when they tell me these hardline things in Christian, I say, well, if they went to hell, they're not supposed to get out.
Yeah, that's right.
So how come I have all these different NDEs who talk about they went to hell and they came back out?
Yeah.
And I tell them why, because they created that hell from fear. And once they realize that, hey, it's me creating all this stuff, this hell, and they leave. That's it.
So it seems like there's only two things: fear and love.
Yes, well, basically, there's only love on the other side. We come to the earth to experience. Okay, people want to call it some kind of mission, but it's not really a mission. It's more like an experience. Now you could, and it's not to learn something. People think I come to earth to learn the earth school. That's not what I got in my download. What I got was that you come to experience here. You already know everything on the other side. You know everything. Your soul is perfect. It's like, I'll give you an example. It's like if you read a book on how to drive a car, but you've never driven a car. You know all the information, right turn signals, how much gas and what kind of car, and you know everything about a car, but you never had the experience of driving a car. And that's what the earth does. It opens a lower density so you can experience separation. You can experience no love. You can experience hate. You can experience fear. You can experience all these things, because on the other side, it's high frequency only. You see, so that's it.
So contrast to provide the experience, because how can you experience, wow, I really have love, if you haven't first experienced this
no
fear
love.
And the hate? Yeah, no love. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
It's a contrast thing.
It's the same with I tell people, if you've ever been to the islands, Caribbean islands, the people who live in the Caribbean islands, they're not crazy about the islands. The weather, yeah, I know about that. They grew up with that because they never had the contrast. They always knew sunshine. They always knew the ocean. They always knew, these beautiful trees and flowers. But take somebody who never had it.
Yeah.
And for them, it's quite amazing. And that's the same way for Earth. When you go for the experience on Earth, or the game on earth, you could learn something in the experience, but it's not because your soul needs to learn this, or you're on a mission, you must learn this. No.
So your soul is already perfect. And
It's already perfect.
we're already enlightened. We don't need to go searching for enlightenment. We
No,
already are.
no.
It's like we just have to wake up to who we already are.
Exactly.
You say?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And this is part of the game. But like I said, basically it's to experience. We come here for the experience. It's, the most precious thing in this game called Earth is the love.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Without the love, the Earth is nothing. The life is nothing. It's a game.
So the supreme reality underlying everything is love. Yes. Is that what
Yes.
you got?
Yes. Every road, and I'm talking about the worst horrible roads, is love. And also, somebody was telling me about, well, if there's no right or wrong, what about the person, who murders a child, don't you think they should be punished and all this stuff? And I said, first thing, let me tell you, the child that's murdered, their soul already knows that they weren't going to stay that long. I learned that from my mother's NDE. I mean, my first NDE was that my mother knew everything. She knew the future. She knew the past. She knew everything.
Yep.
So the soul knows the future. And the second thing I want to say about that is that the child, you might have heard that from some of your NDEs, but the soul doesn't experience the murder. It leaves. It doesn't experience the pain.
I recently heard that. Actually, I recently heard that. I was watching another interview with something like about an NDE. Oh, it was Anita Murjani, who said she's quite a famous NDEer, and she said exactly what you just said. I just heard that the soul, like with a car accident too, sometimes the soul's already out. They didn't feel that.
They're already out seconds before the impact.
Yeah,
this is what I'm trying to tell you. That's why there's no soul experiences the murder. The child doesn't experience the murder.
Okay.
That's the other thing. And I tell people all the time, I said, my download was that love is the most powerful thing. I'll give you an example of love. If I try to punch my fist through a mountain, I can't do it. I can't push my fist through a rock in a mountain. I can't do it, right? But if I take a soft drop of water every day, I can put a hole in a mountain. I can put a hole in a rock with a soft drop of water. And that drop of water is love.
Oh, that gave me chills. That was a beautiful thing to say. I like that.
That's the power of love. So even the only thing that I could say for people who think, about some kind of retribution, it's no retribution. First thing, we are love. Whatever character you're playing on this earth, when that character is done, when that body is dead, guess what? What's left? Your soul.
Your soul.
What is your soul made out of? Love. That's it. Okay. So somebody said, what about Hitler? And I said, well, the thing is, another download that I got was that we all have what we call like a life review. Now, the life review is not about a test or about judgment. Nobody judges you. No, God doesn't judge you. Angels don't judge you. The only person that may judge you is you.
Interesting.
you might say, I could have did that better.
Right.
Because in the life review, my download was that you feel everything that the other person felt, as well as yourself. So let's say if I got in an argument with someone, while I was arguing, I would feel what that person felt. Exact feelings, exact emotions, what the other person felt when I was arguing with them. So if you imagine Hitler, who caused so much fear and death and torture, what's he going to feel in his life review? It's quite horrible.
Yeah. So it's a kind of hell, but it's a temporary hell.
But it's not forever.
Yeah.
Life reviews are not long.
Hmm.
So he will feel it. He will feel what he did, and I'm sure.
Intense,
Yes,
or for a
but
moment, but for a moment
yes,
type of.
yes, exactly. So I mean, that's it, because God is love, and also it's an experience. Like I told you,
Hmm.
it's experience. There's and another thing I got in my download. Yes, there are aliens.
Oh,
Yes,
okay. Well, there you go.
extraterrestrials.
You heard it here, folks. There they exist. Yeah.
Yes, they do exist, and for the most part, they are uh, benevolent, nice ones,
Benevolent. Yeah. Yeah.
benevolent,
Mhm.
and maybe there's some very few, maybe 10% or something like that, 15% that are
Mhm.
not so nice, but most of them are nice, and so just that everybody knows, and I want your readers to know God is everything. God's the good person. God is the bad person also.
Sounds like the law of one. Have you ever heard of that?
Yeah, people keep telling me about that, but I haven't checked
I'm
that
just, I'm
book
just,
out.
I'm just getting into that. It's very, very interesting stuff. But
Yeah,
it's
but
exactly what you're saying. It's
yeah, it's exactly true, because I tell people, I say, for example, Napoleon. Napoleon made war and did all this stuff, but when Napoleon dies, what's left? His soul. And what is his soul made out of? Love.
love.
That's it.
Wonderful.
So
This,
that's my message. One more thing,
mhm.
I got as a download, I want to say, and this is for
Okay.
the present, that the
Okay.
earth is rising in vibration.
Yes.
Uh, and I want to tell you the story, the download I got from that story. If you want to hear it, it's quite amazing.
Okay. We just have a
Um,
couple of minutes, but briefly, I want to, but yes, I want you to say it.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. No, you can edit me and stuff later if it's too long. But I just want to say that what I got was that, first thing, the earth is not just a rock; it's a soul, by the way. Second, what I got is that the earth made a deal with other souls, because that's what we do in our soul groups. We play games, we create games, and the earth was a game that was created, and the earth agreed to play this game for a few billion years, and now the billion years are up, and the earth said, I want to leave. I want to go to a higher vibration. I told you I would agree to this, that the souls could experience 3D for a few billion years, and then I'm going to rise up, because I don't want to stay in lower density all the time. So the other souls. Now, I want to say one thing before I continue. That is, no soul can control another soul.
Okay.
That's the download I got. It's impossible. Impossible. So the earth said, I'm leaving now. I don't want to play. I don't want to play this 3D game anymore. I want to rise my vibration to a higher vibration, 5D or higher, whatever. And the other souls who created the game said, no, you have to stay. And of course, no soul can control another soul. So the earth called out for what we would call star seeds. And star seeds are just people that were born onto the earth to help it to rise vibration. The
Mhm.
best example is, if you want to move to another apartment, you could do it all yourself, but it's going to take you a long time. But if you call your friends, guess what? It's going to be a lot faster. And it's the same on the other side.
Right.
So that's all I want to say. We're in the middle of a full vibrational earth change right now. And what that's going to do is define currently what vibration you are on. It's a choice. You have a choice. The earth is giving every soul right now a choice, if you want to continue to play on 3D, or if you want to go to a higher vibration. Right now, we're experiencing two timelines on top of each other. One is 3D and the other is 5D, higher vibration. That's why you see very good things and you can see very bad things all at the same time.
Dichotomy.
Yes. So that's all she's doing. And I'm not saying either one is better, because it's like I said before in another interview, was that it's like a choice of French vanilla ice cream or strawberry. That's it on the other side.
Gotcha.
Okay. So that's all I want to say. I thank you for Dale for having me on your show, by the
Thank you
way.
so much. And before we go, one last thing. How
Yes.
can the viewers get a hold of you? Because you do readings. And I want everybody to have a chance, if they feel so called. Dennis, as you heard, if you resonate with his energy, I know I do. I definitely would like to get a reading. Please feel free to email him. Is that the best way to get a hold of you, Dennis?
Yes, you can email me if you would leave the link in your description.
Yep. It'll
My
be
email,
underneath, but you can say it as well. But we'll also
and
put it in.
my email is easybullock@hotmail.com.
There we go.
That's EASYBULLOCK at hotmail.com. And I will get in contact with you through email, and we can schedule a Zoom reading, or we can go by phone. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dennis. I really appreciated you being on the show and sharing, because I feel that it's going to impact a lot of viewers. It was very inspirational. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Okay, well, I just want to say one thing to your audience, and that is that don't judge anybody, because you're judging yourself. Don't and also remember that the earth is changing vibration. So you're going to feel strange sometimes nervous for no reason, sometimes aches and pains in your body. But she's rising in vibration, not going lower. And the other thing is God is love, and love is more powerful than any other force that you can even imagine.
Fantastic.
That's it.
That certainly resonates with me. Thank you so much, Dennis. And thank you for watching another edition, watching and listening, because this is an audio and video podcast. Thank you for joining us on Soul Inspire. See you next time.